Stormy, bro. Oh, that's
isn't
crazy.
Stormy the prostitute that was that was linked with Trump?
Bro,
no,
I don't
Stormy something.
fam, I don't know.
Stormy something.
Bro, you might know something I don't know, but
No, the
I'm
one that
hearing
was
this for
linked
the
with Trump. It's Stormy. It was Stormy something, bro.
Nah, the only one I know is Tiana Trump.
Big up the Trumps, yo.
Yeah,
big up the Trumps, man.
I don't know about Donald.
Great family, bro. Great family.
Big up Tiana Trump. I don't know about the other Trump. I don't know about Donald and that, but it was gonna say, is it not funny like how things went like full circle? As in like we started what was it in COVID, didn't it? We started in COVID, the airtime plan thing.
I've been saying this for how long, bro?
I know, but look, now we're here. Started from the bottom, now we're here.
Now we're back in the bottom.
Now we're still here. We haven't gone anywhere.
No, we're lower.
There's no progress, bruv. No, I'm joking. There's a lot of progress.
No, there's different chairs.
It depends how we measure it.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Do you know what I was going to say? Before we fully get into it, yeah. Earlier you mentioned, we spoke about policy a little bit. And I had this thought, yeah. I was thinking about, yeah, you know, like the government, yeah. They have an office, yeah, where they make policies, innit? They have an office for policies, yeah. And I was thinking, there's a police officer. They're a policy officer. They're making sure that,
it's connected, innit, the word.
yeah. Because like you have someone in the office, they'll send them out, and then officer, and they're just enforcing the policies. Policy officer.
Policy officer.
Good evening, policy officer.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually mad. I was just thinking if there's a connection. Obviously, I don't know if it's intentional or not. But
In Greece, sometimes they call
Yeah.
they call the officers instruments. Hello, Mr. Instrument.
is it?
Yeah.
I got some facts about Greece. Anyways, we'll jump into in a bit.
Shit.
But listen, how'd you get your feeling of importance? And what's the one thing that people should know about you?
We ready? Yeah. Right. So.
Nah, but not. Have you read now? We are already. Of course, we're ready. Man.
Yeah, come on. So I think feeling of importance is when I do things for me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, even if it's just looking after myself, and that does not meant to say, oh, you know, I went and treated myself or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Even like working out. You know what I mean? For myself.
Yeah,
I know
yeah.
I'm gonna do something good, and then this is gonna come out and it's gonna benefit others as well in some way. Because if I'm feeling good, then I'm doing good.
Yeah.
I think it doesn't go like this for everyone.
No, everyone's different. It's more about you.
Yeah, so that's a feeling of importance, and something about me that people should know. I love licorice. I've said it. I'm gonna say it again.
I thought I was about to say you love licking something. That's just before you finish.
I mean, you know, let's start with licorice. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I'm joking.
But and that's one thing that a lot of people don't like, and they used to tell me, "Oh, how you eat that shit."
Do you feel like you're a minority when it comes to
bro. Yeah, big up me and the Marmite ones. Do you know what I'm saying?
What?
Yeah.
Marmite as well.
No, I don't eat Marmite.
Oh.
But I feel like the man that eat Marmite, I feel like less people eat licorice than Marmite.
Bro, listen, you know, once, I was in this residential, and I thought that Marmite thing was like some kind of caramel or something, because basically it was in a jar that had like no labels and stuff in it, and I put it on bread here, and I'm just like, oh, what is that? It's bare salty and shit. I got bumped.
I don't know if you call it salty, but man, I used to go and buy the branches. You know when you just bite them and suck.
No, I don't know about that.
Pause. but yeah, there's like, it's a licorice branch, innit?
Yeah.
I feel like them pandas that eat the bamboo and shit.
No,
And another thing is, I love to joke, man.
Yeah.
You know, I love to joke a lot. Some people take you wrong, you know.
Humor's
You'll find me joking in the most inappropriate times.
Yeah.
You know. And even when I'm having a shit time, I'm still like joking, and people probably say, what the fuck is wrong with this guy? Yeah, but that's my way of coping.
No, I think that's you know what it is, I feel like there's too many people out there. They always got something to say about someone else. Like they care about what other people do too much. So like someone might focus on you too much and say like, oh, this guy's always joking in certain situations and whatever. But it's like there is no particular way of behaving Or like if everyone behaved in the same way, that would be boring. It's like I'd rather have a person that I know that will joke around in like shit situations anyways, and I can appreciate that. I think it's more about what people appreciate, and I feel like there's not many people who appreciate difference or different in general, that sort of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, technical issues. Yeah, man. I think for me it's something that I don't know if it comes all the time. It definitely comes in difficult situations. I start getting funnier. I think, yeah.
Do you know? Just going back to what people like, why people pay so much attention to what other people like do and stuff. Yeah. Do you know about that circle where people can focus on 3 different things?
No.
Yeah. So there's so they say that if there's a circle, one of the things people can focus on is things they can't control.
Yeah.
The second thing is getting closer to the middle. The second thing is things people can influence, but they might not have control. They might not have direct control over it. It's just they can influence it. And the middle bit is things they can control fully. So, which is usually ourselves. Pretty much, we can influence people, but not. It's not 100% guaranteed. And then there's certain things that we have no control over. So one might just, if the plane crashes or there's a news article coming out tomorrow that we have no control over, just things we can't control. But I found it fascinating, yeah. The reason I'm bringing it up is because I'm trying to understand why people focus on the outer circle so much, which is like, I feel like majority of people focus on things they can't control.
Do you think because they haven't learned to influence themselves?
I don't know. That's what I was going to ask you. What do you think? Like, why that is, or what's your assumption on it?
I think that's why there's so many like books and stuff like that, and so many people like influencers trying to focus on this about learning yourself and all that. And there's all this market because people don't know, and it's easier to influence what you see because you cannot really see yourself, can you? You can see other people where you can't see inside. You can, but you're not taught to.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
That's interesting.
So to look within. So, I think there's so much focus these days to sort of try and change yourself and learn about yourself. But then again, at the same time, people do it way too publicly sometimes. Trying to influence others by teaching them how they influence themselves. It's a bit of a weird cycle, right?
Yeah. No, that is interesting. Who's your favorite like role model, like, or who do you look up to?
Wow, so many, man. Are we talking about like public? I've got public figure, and then I got like, do you know what I mean?
Whichever, like, and I think like I'd be more interested in like when I ask that question, like who were the first people that came in your mind?
It would be my father, and then I thought about somebody who I saw very recently, Damon Dash.
Yeah, do you know what's funny? I knew he was gonna say that.
Damon Dash.
Yeah, I had a feeling he was gonna mention.
Mate, I've got like I can pull out a list. I've got a list, so I keep the thingy so I can just check. You know what I mean? So I've got a list of people that I like to check. It's almost like, when you follow people on socials and you're like, these are the people I get positive vibes and good advice from. I wish I could just not unfollow everybody else, but sometimes mute them. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but you can mute them.
No, I mean there's certain pages that I turn and I try and follow. But anyways, back to the subject. I think, yeah, man, Damon Dash, and I think this is something else I wanted to get into. Like, I think he's somebody that he's got a very particular way of expressing himself. I feel like if it was somebody, he was sitting next to me and chatting to me, I might have had a scuffle with him, the way he speaks. So it's good it's behind the screen, you know what I mean? Because he's very, and with that being said, I think Gary Vee in the past, maybe like 3-4 years before, how his style was as well, very like aggressive, and like almost like looking down on you. And I think it helps you to stop using your feelings and start using your logic when listening to things and filtering rather than feeling like you know what I'm saying, offended.
I think those are the guys who have mastered the art of like taking out feelings out of a conversation. So I feel like they're able to have a conversation where they don't feel a type of way about it. And I feel like most people, from my experience, are not able to have that conversation because they bring in their own biasness and things that they kind of feel a certain type of way about it. So the moment they get emotional, it's impossible to have a conversation with them. even like, you know, regardless of what the nature of the conversation is, whether it's like, it's a, I don't know, it's a conversation people have to be, you know, like brave for, or like conversation that's like uncomfortable, regardless of the type of conversation. It's like some people get, once they start thinking, or not even thinking, once they start getting into the feelings mode, it's really difficult to have a level-headed conversation around a topic where you can create an understanding around something. So I feel like they master that. And sometimes they might have spoken to people that can't have that, and those people will say like, oh my god, they're too this, they're too that. And I found it really interesting.
It's a weird thing as well, because it's like certain people like enjoy to be spoken this way. Don't want to call it a kink, but you know what I mean, like some people just like to be talked down to as well. I feel like this is how, you know, certain people they might resonate with how they were spoken when they were kids, you know, where you feel like somebody's just telling you how you like this, you know, fix that, do this, do that, you know what I mean? So you need that type of authoritative speech towards you. And it's the same thing, I think, I just equated, because I was thinking about it like 20 minutes ago about, you know, do you prefer to like voice note, or do you prefer like to send texts?
I prefer voice notes. Just because I feel like it's way more, you know what it is? It depends. So
go on.
So what I'm saying in terms of depends, it's like, are you talking about receiving or sending out?
Replying.
So me sending them, sending out.
After you seen something.
For me, replying is definitely a voice note thing. Unless I'm not in a position to voice note, I might be in a certain place at that time where I can't voice note. But yeah, I'd usually voice note instead of texting. Yeah.
Why am I saying this? Because I feel like, you see, like there's like stages. I think there's the text, there's the voice note, and then there's the I wouldn't want to say FaceTime. I don't want to promote any specific products of Apple and shit. But
fuck Apple anyway.
No, apples are good for you, man. An apple a day.
Can you turn off the AC as well, please? Sorry.
Yeah. But yeah, what I'm saying is, like, for example, like that's another thing I think that we interpret with our emotions. You get text. Number one, if it doesn't have no emojis in it, you don't know with what kind of like tone the other person is talking to you. You probably have a mental picture of them speaking to you while you're reading the text, right? And how you interpret it with your feelings. So you get your feelings involved. Then they throw the emoji. Now it comes to they put the emoji, you know, the one that you put here. Now, for some people this is like maybe. For other people it's like you're a little bit weird. You know what I mean? Like they interpret again emotions.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? So when you see the person live in a call, then you get more, you know, you get the body language, the tone, everything in.
There's less chance of miscommunicating, because I feel like with messages and even emojis and all of that stuff, there can be communication lost in the process. So it's like the whole thing is like people's perspective, right? It's like emoji's an image. It's just a picture where, like, you know, if I look at another image, it's like if someone showed an image now like of Mona Lisa and asked like 10 people what do you think this is, like loads of people will say different things, innit? You know what I'm saying? I don't even know that's funny, but it's funny as fuck. But yeah, loads of people will say different things.
Yeah.
So same with emojis as well, and similar with text. It's like people receive a text.
That certain people think this is thank you. Certain people think it's two hands high-fiving each other.
Yeah, that's I didn't even see it like that. Yeah.
Some people think it's the pool emoji. Other people think it's chocolate ice
diving. Yeah. For some people it's a pray for, bro. It can be anything.
Exactly. So I think this is where it's like, where do you, like, some people are just masters in writing it, the text in a certain way where they know how to make you feel, on how it's gonna make you feel, and then there's people who are just so this is what I'm so to go back to this, I'm feeling like I'm feeling emotions again. I think that certain people you know, how do you how do you learn to progressively think with logic rather than emotions? Because think makes you think of logic, but a lot of people think with emotions.
I think it's an awareness game. I think it's about becoming mastering someone's awareness to kind of know when they are feeling or when they are thinking logically, or you know, the difference between the two. I think it's just an awareness thing. I think a lot of the time, you know, people keep talking about self-awareness. I don't like that term in general.
I see logic as the brain and feeling as the heart. So one of the biggest conversations I had with Leo a while back is about robots, right? And why robots will never be replicated, or like we can never create a robot that's so human-like. One of the main reasons is because we can't fabricate gut feeling and stuff like that. And that comes from the heart. Whereas logic is a brain, which is no problem. We can recreate the brain, no problem. But like that feeling, that inner voice, we can't recreate that thing in a robot. So when I separate logic and feeling, I just say brain and heart, metaphorically, I guess.
You know, so I mean, humans create robots, right? So that's why sometimes even robots have biases. You know what I mean? Like they'll have a selection process, and then they'll have a bias, and guess who this bias belongs to? The person who actually created that robot.
But
right?
but this is my assumption with the AI and robots and all of that stuff. I've said this to Aladdin before. You know, people can disagree with me. That's completely fine. It's just my opinion. But I think what we're doing currently and where the world is heading to, there's loads of different directions. But one of the directions is transferring ourselves onto machines, which is what it is. It's like what we're doing. We're transferring our logic and our thinking and thought process and our thinking patterns that create thinking onto machines. And that's what's happening. And it's like,
it's a bit weird because I'm just at the same time, you know, there's all these conversations about, it's like, what do you pass on to the robots? Because you're thinking, like, obviously there's a lot of people who are going to lose their jobs, but then new type of jobs are created, and then certain people like who create the robots they hear that conversation and they, you know, they use the logic, and all they say is about the work is going to become quicker and this and that, and just and then the other people who
seen that whole thing of creating robots who would help make us lose our jobs. I've always seen that as kind of bullshit. Because how my kind of interpretation of it is, if we've created robots to take, because robots aren't going to make YouTube videos, robots aren't going to make TikTok videos and social media and TV. They're not going to make that shit.
Are they not? Are they not?
I don't think so, man. I think what they're going to do, and they're doing it right now, is they're going to lift the heavy boxes. They're going to serve the foods. They're going to make the beds. They're going to, you know what I'm saying? These manual...
Until one day they're going to wake up and say, we had enough. We need robot rights. Do you know what? I saw this funny quote the other day, because I think it relates to this current world in the moment. Look, I'm not, and before people like judge me for it, I'm not pro activism, and I'm not against I'm not against it either. It's like, if it makes people happy, go do it. Me personally, I wouldn't class myself as an activist. I do want to address certain social issues, but not in an activist kind of way. I want to do something about it rather than kind of like just go on. Anyway, long story short.
What is an activist anyways? Let's go into it after. But
let's get into it. But just long story short, the quote is, I'm sure if a zombie apocalypse would have happened, there will be activism for zombie rights. That's basically the society kind of like we're living in.
Exactly. It's like, don't harm the zombies. What have they done to you?
Well, let's get into what activist is.
I'm just curious why it's called activist. I mean, you can, when you're active in the gym, you're active. You could be an activist.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's just a bit of a
no. So it's a person who campaigns to bring about political or social change. But the thing is, campaigning to me, and this is why I said earlier, I'd rather do something about it, because I feel like taking action and campaigning are two different things. Some people would class as campaigning as an action because but I feel campaigning can make people aware of it.
Campaign is like marketing.
But it can make people aware of an issue, but I feel like that's the starting point. I feel like people need to do something about it. So I'd rather be the person that's doing something, rather than campaigning about it.
The thing about that is, I see what you mean. I'm kind of with you on it, but I'm trying to now understand it from a today standpoint. That influence is far more powerful than action. I genuinely believe influence can do a lot more, because obviously action, like, and when I say action, I mean individual, like me doing something. Because if I influence, then the influence creates more people to do action eventually. But
influence doesn't exist without action. So influence literally means when you say something to someone and they take action, that's literally what influence means. You influence someone to take action.
Now the question is, what does action mean to you? Because I can say action to me means actively going and doing the thing that I'm preaching, or action could be speaking and making videos, and just all I'm doing is talking about
It's
it.
still action though.
I say so that's action as well. So like then that leaves the definition of action being anything you do counts as action, no matter what.
I think this comes back to the conversation about responsibility and being able to act, which means being able to respond and acting. Acting means that you're there and you're doing something about it. You know what I mean? I think it's action is also interchangeable with influence, right? But again, for example, I think it's all, you know, this all with this whole activism that we're talking about. Usually, you know, we think about people going in the street, not rioting as well. What you call it?
Can't even riot no more, anyways.
Yeah. It's a write-off.
It's a write-off.
But I think in the same ways, like I feel like in a way, I think that in a way, I'm correcting myself.
You keep going.
I'm using the logic this time, not the feeling. I try to, anyways. I think that that from a certain age on, it's not like they were completed as humans, but our program, our software is more or less written. So these sort of things, you know, the influence is important. So it probably has to happen through school, the next generations. You know what I mean? That's why it's important that we, you know, everybody checks, you know, you go to stuff like the NHS or they said that, and they do like DBS check, and they check like really, really hard on people. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know what's happening with teachers, but I think them lot have to be the most checked of all, because they literally like, you know how you and me might be going to a job, might not even feel like 9 to 5, just get the money, you know what I mean, to survive. Imagine there are teachers like this out there in the world.
But you know what? I've been thinking about it a lot, and obviously over time I had a lot of conversations around education. I've had a lot of conversations around the structure of the world, the government, and I've got to the conclusion, like, so the solutions are obvious. So, you know, obvious solutions are like, you know, we need to look after the teachers, meaning, you know, we need to give them a way higher salary. We need to maybe cut down how many students are in a class. There's loads of different solutions, but clearly, like, things are not changing. It's kind of staying the same. So I got to the point I was thinking, how come there's no solutions being implemented? And the answer is no one gives a shit. You know, and when I say no one, I'm not talking about no one as in like people don't give a shit. We do give a shit. But like people who are in the positions of power to maybe make those changes, they don't give a shit. So the way things are structured sometimes, I'm like, actually, is because people don't give a shit.
I mean, if you were in power, would you like to have like a lot of independent thinking people underneath you who you're in power?
Yeah, I mean, if I was in power, I would. You know, maybe someone else that is in power, they wouldn't. But you know, and
I mean, thinking of power as we see it at the moment, you know what I mean, how it is.
Yeah,
they don't want why would you? And you're and you're asking for the change from the same people who created this already.
No, of course, and
you know what I mean.
That's kind of the conclusion I came to. But I got a slightly different question for you. Yeah? If I gave you £100,000 to jump out a plane without a parachute, would you do it?
No.
You wouldn't?
No. I wouldn't.
Yeah. What if I told you that the plane is parked on the ground?
You never know, I might break my ankle.
So you wouldn't do it for 100k?
I mean... no. Let's go with the original question. Either or.
Huh? No. It's worth it. Nah, there's no either or. Like, what if I told you if it's parked on the ground? And just for the sake, just for the sake of the image, it's not even a tall Boeing, or it's just a nice small little private jet. So it's quite low to the ground.
Oh yeah, you made that because I pictured the Boeing.
Yeah.
I was like, no, still no. Would I?
Yeah.
Ooh. It's a weird thing, you know, because it's like, yeah, I would, but at the same time, it's like, why are you giving me this money? There's all these questions, but you know,
what,
minimum effort for so much money. You know what I mean?
But you know, I asked this question, yeah,
Yeah.
because I feel like in current society as well, which is another thing I'm challenging too. I'm challenging a lot of different things actually, but one of the things I'm challenging is around people make up their mind before they got the full facts or information, or some people sometimes even ask, you know, more questions on something. It's like you ask them, they don't have the full picture. So when I said like, would you do it for £100,000? You didn't even know if it's on the ground or if it's in the air.
That's why I'm asking all these questions.
What kind of, I know, but at first he said no, you wouldn't do it. So you jump to like an answer without even getting like the full kind of like picture around it, which is interesting. And I feel like that happens a lot in communication in general.
Exactly. I just put myself in there jumping without a parachute.
Yeah. Can we go back to role models? Because I don't feel like we fully touched on it because we just kind of like just jumped forward. But one of the things I wanted to explore on that side of things is like, obviously you mentioned your dad, and then you mentioned Dame Dash. Yeah, Dame and Dash.
Yeah.
What is it like? What makes them role models? Is it like, what qualities and abilities do you see in them, or what do you take away from them that kind of inspires you and so you see them as a role model?
They say what they think about what they think. They're not afraid to be the asshole, to make sure that everybody else is okay and everything goes. You know, they have somebody has to be the asshole, and you know,
that's usually me anyway. So.
Yeah, but you need that person. You know, you need that one person.
Yeah. Aladdin, you hear that? You need that one person. Yeah, just so you know.
Aladdin shook his head for anybody who cannot see. He nodded positively.
Wait, nodded positively. I'm just thinking about like subtitles. You know, they put subtitles, like nodding positively. What does a positive nod look like? Okay, now show me.
In that case,
you was thinking of subtitle. I was thinking of the title. I was thinking everybody needs an arsehole. That's the title.
Wait. So I'm okay. So you showed me how to nod positively. Show me how to nod negatively.
No. Negative would be like this. It's like, you know, when someone's saying something, but you pretend like it's making sense, and you go like, yeah,
but see, I do that when I'm
yeah, sure, cuz.
Yeah, sure, that makes a lot of sense. Yeah,
negative, yeah, man.
Yeah.
I get what you're saying.
Why is it positive? It's two negatives like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
or you tilt them as an X.
Yeah.
But what were we?
They're talking about role models. Like, yeah. Well, what do you? I've got another question on that, but anyway, but let's. Yeah, what is it that you see within them?
I think these.
You said they speak how, you know, what they think, and they're not afraid of being an arsehole in order to create value for someone else.
The courage to be disliked.
Yeah. And
I think big up Dwayne. Dwayne put me into that book. Doesn't say exactly this, but the courage to be disliked, man. You know what I mean? To get to the.
But it's like for a purpose though, like, because obviously people can just be disliked in general, anyways. But like being able to be disliked while providing value. So it's like not caring about, you know, someone might think, oh, this guy's a prick, but actually he's doing it for a good cause. Yeah.
Exactly. So that's what I'm trying to think of other qualities. There's a lot of them. You know what I mean? Just think, you know, they say they're unconventional. The love that these people show, you know, one talks about love, the other one shows it. Yeah, man, there's so many different things, but I think this important is just being that person that goes and says stuff how they are, you know, or is going to make, you know, cause a fuss and issue if you know.
Do you know what's interesting as well around that too? And I think sometimes, and you know, you spoke about how Gary Vee used to talk and how certain people talk, and I think. And what I realized is actually there's many ways of delivering the message. And usually what people have an issue with is usually not the message, they have an issue with the delivery. So, and I think it's interesting because having the ability to change the delivery is also a powerful skill. And not to say that they have to change their ways of delivering things. It's like if they wanted to, they could explore that, and that might be valuable in general in how we deliver messages.
Yeah. But it depends, is it the recipient? I knew the recipient who decided to go and listen to that, right? You ordered a package from a certain place. Now it's late because there's been strikes or COVID happened. Yeah, it's a fact. It came late. You could be pissed, or you can think about it logically and be like, "It's what happened. It's you that decide how you're gonna receive it."
Do you know? Oh, there's so many things flowing through my head in this conversation today.
Let them flow, bro.
Before I go to the next thing, just quickly on the role models, the last question. So are they your role models because you feel like you want to be like them, or they're your role models because you feel like you can relate to them?
Sometimes, yeah. I mean, obviously, my father is like, I feel like there's there are something that's same in their lives. This you usually do something that this have certain similarities and stuff like that. It's funny because it's like it can be role models because they play a role in your life, or they can be role models because it's their play. This is a role, is a model for you to, to see. So it's, what does role models really mean? You know what I mean? You're playing that role, or are they playing that role in your life?
It's so funny. Language is so funny. It's like someone's playing a role. They're not even being serious about it. They're just playing it. It's like someone's playing a role. It's like no one calls them like they're being a serious role model. They're playing to be a role model. It's like
exactly, because they might be playing a role model. They have, certain people have their own persona. It might be because it's fake. It might be just because that's the message they want to deliver. They want to do it, but because of the way they are, maybe they can. So they have to play a certain role to pass it through you. You know what I mean? The same with the teacher. Might be harsh on you in class, but that doesn't mean that's how they are in their own house. You know what I mean?
Definitely. So the thing that just pops up into my head, and it's around language again. It was around the words of like receive and perceive, and I was thinking like receiving is like when we receive something, and perceiving is like we still receive something, but with a perception of with a slightly different perception. And I was thinking perception and reception. When you go somewhere, there's a reception. They just receive you, and a perception is slightly different because it's like people will receive, but they'll receive someone with a condition. It's not unconditional. It's a bias. They receive someone in a biased kind of way. So
what is sieve? Because sieve is the same.
I don't even know, but I feel like a guy in far now. Where is sieve, Aladdin?
What is sieve?
Just
It's a beautiful question, man.
Google it or Yahoo it or whatever.
Or Yahoo, what sieve means?
No, I'm not actually looking that up, by the way, just so you know.
No, it's just because it's got the re in front. So perception, perceive. Is it constantly getting sieved?
No, re's like, it's like revisiting something again, like redoing it something again.
So when you receive, how, in what way are you reading?
So you sieved it. So you sieved it before.
I don't know.
Exactly. There we go.
I don't know.
But you know what is like, language is human. It's humanly made. It can be manipulated. Well, nature can't.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. True.
True. This just a language can be manipulated. Yeah. Humans can be manipulated through language.
So
I'm thinking about like, because what was going through my mind right now is language, and there are different languages, right? So there's about just under 300 different types of languages in the world, and it gets me thinking. Like I say this all the time, language is a different type of combination of noises to deliver different types of information, and I say it all the time. But to think that there are...
the guy who in the audition who said I can read the book fast. Have you seen that?
Oh, yeah. That's jokes, bro.
Yeah, you probably just said fuck you in Haitian or something like that. But that's like the crazy thing that you want. Like I keep thinking about is like how many combinations, because like there's under 300 languages, just under 300 languages in the world for humans. But now I switch up to different species. Animals, because we all communicate. Ants communicate when they do their colonies and they grab that piece of crisp and take it to their thing, or dogs communicate when they play, and cats communicate when they have beef, as they do. I'm saying, so different animals. That's so like we're talking just under 300 different types of ways, different combination of noises that come across as ways of communication in the human. What do you want to call it? Human race. And then we go even further and look at animals, and even they communicate. It's like how many? At one point do we run out? You know what I'm saying?
So do you think cats and dogs and them things there? Do they animals? Do you think
cats and dogs and them things there?
Them things there.
Do you think they speak different languages? Because I feel like what I'm saying this is like, I think I don't speak cat or dog. Sorry, I've got my throat and everything.
Meow.
So. Meow. Sometimes I speak dog. 'Cause I got a dog in me. But
Bro, this is a legendary episode, bro.
but what I'm saying is like being a human, I think, is, you know, I can see, I feel like we're the only species who's got so many different languages.
I like I said, I think, and then you go, I feel like.
I feel like, yeah, I feel like I'll put the emotions for that one in case I'm wrong.
Do you not think animals are racist to different species of their own breed? No, different breed of their own species. It's like a greyhound might look at a bulldog think, disgusting, whatever, or like.
Do you think are they racist, or is there a hierarchy and they
Nah,
accept?
it's not true at all.
Racist.
There's a channel called I think it's called a Dodo or something, but there's some really amazing animal stories, and you can clearly see that. Yeah, sometimes for animals it's a conditioning thing, and you know what, animals got their own personalities as well, but regardless of the conditioning thing, anyways. But you can see some like really amazing stories when it comes to animals. I admire them a lot, actually.
Yeah,
I feel like nature, like trees and shit like that, and animals in itself. Like I feel like we can learn a lot from them. It's not the other way around. People think animals can learn from us. Actually, we can learn from them.
Yeah, but it's the same relationship between adults and children. They say that children learn from adults, but we can
I mean,
reverse
it's
that and give
Yeah,
them
definitely. Like I think children remind us of what's important,
I think
and they remind us of
children
values and how fucking there's certain values of like being fearless and just like approaching things with a curious mind and just resetting things and looking at things in a completely new way.
I mean, it's us that put certain animals in houses and lock them up and expect them, trying to teach them to be human and give them human names.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But then we go vegan. We don't eat them, but they eat, you know?
Yeah.
But we have a dog, but we don't eat fish. Anyways.
Yeah.
But we're happy to have it locked up and tell you what to do.
Yeah.
Are there actual medical reasons why you can't eat dog?
I mean, us China.
No,
I
it's just and this is why it's so interesting. Is like I've said, it's just to create that conversation is like, oh yeah, but you could eat dog. Oh no. So why is different with with a tuna?
In another planet, they could say that, you know, we keep cows at home and dogs outside being farmed. But either way, I was gonna say, like, you know, in China, yeah, I watched a documentary on how people's dogs get kidnapped and sold
for food.
For food, yeah, it's fucking crazy. If you ever get time, look into it. Go on YouTube and type in documentary on how dogs get kidnapped in China. It's actually insane, and you see some CCTV footage where people's dogs actually like get like robbed broad daylight.
You know, that's what I love about a lot of Asian countries, and to be fair, most of the countries around the world. So you two were both born in a different country, right? You was born in Greece, you was born in Lithuania.
I was born in Mars, bro. Don't ever
Same,
confuse
man.
it.
Yeah.
I'm not from this planet.
Same Mars. That's where we met.
Yeah. Men are from Mars and women are from Venus, isn't it?
I was born in Twix. But anyways, go.
I was born in Twix. That's for Channel 4. Yeah, so you two were born on different...
Choo-choo! He just arrived again.
You know what's so funny? Yeah? I saw that joke coming. Activism, if it comes, I'm not gonna laugh. Regardless, man. The train of thought has arrived, and
it's better the second time, isn't it?
Shit. All right, awesome. Yeah. So I've lived and known England and the Western world. I've experienced the Eastern world.
Were you born here?
Yeah.
Oh shit!
You didn't know that?
Nah, bro. I thought you're an immigrant, bro.
Yeah, man. You're not one of us.
I was born a crown. Yeah, I'm not Martian.
Yeah, man.
But yeah, that's all I know. I've experienced Eastern world. I don't know if you want to call it Eastern world, but I've experienced the other side through holidays and visiting Algeria and whatnot. And it's fascinating because when Sammy, for example, he went to Tokyo for a little bit, and he loves talking about how like that's a completely different world with almost completely different rules. And it's that beautiful thing of like they don't feel the need to join the Western world, to be like us, the Western world. They don't want to be like, they don't look at Western world, they're doing this, cool, I'm going to do this as well. or they're doing this. This is how they're running their governments are running, or this is how their markets are running. Where like, cool, I'm gonna do that and copy it and do it here as well because there looks cool, so we might as well do it here as well. They don't do that. They're like, you know what? We have the luxury of setting up our own rules, setting up our own laws, setting up our own environments, and we're gonna live in that environment, and we're gonna create it better, obviously subjective, but better than the Western world. And if I could find it amazing, because like let's apply that to individuals. I think me and Leo and even Kosta do it all the time. Is like I look at a social media influencer, or I look at what's normal and what's popular, and we look at thinking, you know what? I reckon I can do what you're doing, or I can achieve what you're trying to achieve, but better, and maybe more low key or whatever. But there's like they have that need not to be a part, like having a need not to do something. It's powerful as fuck, man.
And it differentiates them.
Of course. Is that the intention? Is the intention to be different, or is it to be better?
I know sometimes it could go back to that thing that you say. You know, it's like until someone's presented something new, they don't know.
Who knows what you know,
or what the possibility is. So sometimes. You know, like I think a good example is like London. It's like some people live, you know, like if you're talking about people that are on this road life, or you know, people that are involved in certain activities. Some of these people, they live within the area for so long, they haven't been out anywhere else, and all they know is that area. It's like, and they're not exposed to like new experiences, just repeating the same.
That's the world
on
for
a
them.
regular. Yeah, that's the world for them. So I feel like sometimes it could be an element of that. Sometimes people are not presented something new, and it's a culture thing. Like everyone's got a different culture thing. You know, as Yusuf would say, culture shock. Some people get a culture shock when they come here.
That's the powerful thing, man. It's like the whole thing of all you know is what you know until someone presents something new to you. But until
you get a culture shock.
Until you get a culture shock. But once that happens, it's like, cool. What direction are you going to take from here? Like, where are you going to go from here? Like, oh, by the way, here's a thing that you didn't know about before. Because like, my thing is now, like, all you know is what you know, and all you know is your truth. And anything other than that is not true to you because you haven't been exposed to it. So it's not true.
Because it's not your reality.
It's not
You don't see between those from.
But it's connected though.
What's that thing that you said?
Do you know?
So quickly, you said something a while back. It was a quote or whatever. I loved it. It's like a mind that's been stretched by new realities.
Oh yeah, no, a mind that's been stretched by new experience cannot go back to its old dimensions.
That's fucking amazing.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite.
Say it one more time for the Instagram. One more time
a mind that has been stretched by a new experience cannot go back to its old dimensions.
And then he gets a reload.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, that's
it's
crazy.
But you know how people's truths are connected? And there's one example I can give, and how everything's interconnected. If I punch in your face, you'll feel it. Yeah. And that's a good example. And I'm not talking about if people need to punch people in the face, but that's a good example of different universes. Like, you know, like if I got my universe, you got your universe, but there's two different universes. That's right. Universities. Jeez. Nah, but there's two different universes that are having a conversation, exchanging, you know, information, knowledge, or perspective, whatever you want to call it. And then we get to like, I would take some of that in, maybe push some of that out, but it's a thing. We're all interconnected in a way.
That's the beautiful thing about your truth. When I say your truth, I can tell you a story about how life is like in Mongolia, and I could have been someone that experienced that country and the environment, and I come back and I tell you about it. But as long as you decide to believe in that, it is either your truth or not your truth. You get to choose if that's truth or not within yourself. Like I could tell you, over there they do this, that. And it's up to you to decide if that's part of if that's true to me, and that experience stretches my mind. It's that whole belief is powerful as hell because that's how we decide what's true, what's not true. Is just belief. Do you have it or not?
Belief. It's important.
Be a leaf.
Be a leaf and fall off a tree.
Go on.
Jeez.
Be a leaf.
No, man.
Our language is flowing today, you know.
What was that?
So now you're just flowing.
You know what? I want, because you said something, yeah? I said, because he asked you where we were born. You said we were born different countries, and you say you're born here, and different I said, you're not one of us. Huh?
Different planets.
Different planets. I'm going to get to that. And then he said, I said, oh, immigrants. And he said, I said, you're not one of us. And he said, yeah, I'm not an alien. And yeah, you laugh with that, but I'll tell you this, yeah? My grandma, who, just passed away like a year ago, I have like a little booklet, right? And she had come to the UK, and it said, order of aliens.
Mm.
That's what migrants used to be called. They used to be called aliens.
Shit, man.
Imagine you call them now this.
Mm.
And this was the norm back then.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, the world's changing, man. It's changed a lot.
I have a question.
I was gonna get gone. I was gonna get into something.
Is it hot in Mars? No.
Go on. Ask it.
I've asked this before, and I want to hear Kosta's answer. But if your answers change, bring it forward. I'm just looking how you look on the camera right now. Fascinating. Anyway, you get an opportunity to spend a week 500 years into the future or 500 years into the past. Which one would you take? Bearing in mind, it's not like a thing where if you go in the past and you can bet in this, and then you can invest in Amazon before it starts, or whatever. It's not like one of those ones. It's more reverse, isn't it? But yeah, you get an opportunity to spend a week 500 years into the future or 500 years into the past. Which one would you pick?
Ooh.
Leo.
Let's break it down. Let's break it down a little bit, yeah?
Okay.
Sometimes you regret, right, things because you live in the past. Sometimes you're anxious because you live in the future, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, there's no middle option of just being here.
I mean, you can just say fuck you and just not take the option. But I would never do that. I have my.
I mean, you know what's crazy? Like,
because the question is, you have an opportunity to do this. It's not you have to do either one, the other, or pick one. Is you have an opportunity to do it. So you can literally say, you know what, I choose not to take the opportunity. Fuck the future, fuck the past. I want to live in the present.
Just go and live in the past and come back.
Yeah. So you
see, I'm asking the things now I learned from you from before.
No, you already knew it. You just remembered.
Yeah.
Fair enough. No. So yeah. So I'll repeat the question so that you can understand it a bit better. So you have an opportunity to spend 1 week, 500 years into the past or 500 years into the future.
Mm-hmm.
What would you do?
I can already go to the future, bro.
Can you go 500 years into the future?
Yeah.
How so?
I mean, with my mind, it's funny because, like, if you if you're here and you have your eyes right, and I see him here, this way I cannot go anywhere. But if I close my eyes, I can go anywhere, bro.
Yeah.
Or at least I can go anywhere.
Yeah. Like that conversation we had with Jacob, and it was around.
That was episode 2. Or was that 3? No, 2. That's episode 2.
No, that was 3 actually.
No, Ashley was 3. Was it Ashley 2 or 3?
It was 3. Sabir, Abdul, and then Jacob
and then Ashley.
But yeah, we spoke about how we can change our past, because our past is our memory at this point, and we can change our memories. We have the power to do so if you want to.
Can I change my past in someone else?
Can you change your past in someone else? No, it's they get to choose. You don't change your past in someone else. Your past is your past. It's not their past.
I mean, the present, bro. Back then, the past was the present. So you've changed the present. Is the present is now? So you've changed the past.
Past and future don't exist. It's always the present. That's constantly what
that's
it is.
Gift.
I prefer using the term of transition in the present moment. Like tomorrow is gonna be the next present moment I'm gonna be in at some point. I'm just gonna transition to it. I'm gonna get there.
Okay, I understand what you mean that one.
Yeah.
You're making.
So one of the things that I'm starting to do now on this podcast, and for people that are listening, hope you can appreciate this as well, is I'm gonna start researching, basically just do some facts around who the person is. Maybe of where they come from or what they do, whatever. But for this one in particular, I chose some facts around Greece because obviously you're from Greece, and I feel like I get a sense from you that you've got a strong connection with your country and where you come from, and which I really respect quite a lot. So I've got some facts, and you can get into them if you want to, but I'm just going to read them out and then we'll just go
read
through
them out. Yeah.
Yeah. So the first one is the first one I've got, which I found really fascinating, is Greece is home to 6,000 islands and islets. This is the first time I learned that word islets. It's like little ones, of which less than 250 are inhabited. So less than half of those islands are actually inhabited by people. You lot got bare islands.
Yeah. Well, we're not giving them away. I mean, they're probably being sold on the internet.
Did you know that? And if you did know that, did you have any experience with that?
How many do you say?
600 in total, and only 250 of them, around less than 250, are inhabited.
I knew there was a lot. I didn't know if it was the thousands or whatever, but I know like even the perimeter was quite big. You know, you put it all together. Yeah, I was aware that there was a lot of islands, and
That's
definitely
so
some that are not inhibited. Maybe some that are like in between, you know, Greece and Turkey, and then there's all this thing of it shouldn't be inhibited because.
Bro, man could literally go to one of the islands and start like your own like community, bro. Could be called Kosta Island,
bro. Don't tell them my plans, please.
Like Epstein, yeah.
Oh, Epstein, nah, bro. We don't do that. We don't do them things there. We don't support that.
We don't.
We don't support them kind of things. Alright, the next fact is
that's the best part. I just know that he has an island and he's fucked.
Alright, the next they were trying to fly out Aladdin there anyway, so yeah.
First class.
First class. The next fact is that Greece contributes 7% to the marble produced in the whole world.
7%.
7%. That's really high.
50 no.
And that's purely and purely, and it says that you can also like see that from the architecture style in Greece that they love to use marble everywhere.
Well, we used to back in them.
So now it's asbestos.
In I know the cheap things.
Did you know that asbestos is dangerous? You know, there's some buildings in the UK. Apparently, if you breathe it in, you can like, I can't remember what the term was. You can either die or something next year.
Yeah. I learned about that while they were drilling in one of my houses.
Yeah,
and there was this thing in the air. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
And then
they use that a lot, and I think until they find out that it's dangerous or whatever, but there's probably some corruption that happens.
It's interesting because it's like, I don't know, man. This marble is like it's like a living organism, isn't it? So because if you not a living organism, but it's like if you sort of throw something like red sauce or something on marble or white marble or whatever, it stays there. You can't I think you can or you can't. I don't remember. Like this is that you can't take it off. But yeah, man, marble.
Yeah, that's latest though. The next one is the island of Ikaria. Is that how I pronounce it?
Ikaria.
Yeah,
just different tone. Yeah.
The island of Ikaria is one of the five blue zones with one of the longest lifespans in the world. So it says
It's a blue zone.
I'm guessing, I don't know what blue zone is, but I'm guessing a blue zone, you can look it up if you want, but I'm guessing a blue zone is where people have a longer lifespan. That's my guess anyways, but look it up anyways while I'm reading the rest of it.
So like over 100.
So,
Over 100.
Over 100. No, this is what I was going to say. So around 30% live well into the 90s, which is on average 10 years longer than those in the rest of the Europe and America. And they also have much lower rates of cancer and heart disease, suffer significantly less from depression and dementia, maintain a sex life, whatever. I'm not going to get into all of that stuff. But I find it really interesting that based on someone's location, they can,
I don't think it has anything to do with location. I think it has more to do with environment. It's like I said before about different environments get to create their own laws and their own ways of living. That's a great.
You are what you consume, right? Mentally and physically.
You are what you eat.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it.
What do you eat, Aladdin?
So
Leo was gonna say it. Like,
say it then. Shit. Who's stopping you?
I saw your pussy, yo.
Oh wow.
Excellent. Sorry.
He didn't say it with a proper P. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. But, did you look up blue zones? Did you look up blue zones?
No, I didn't have enough interest in it to look up.
Huh?
I didn't have enough interest in it to look up.
Oh, waste, man. But yeah, cool. I got a couple more. Yeah, blue zones. Yeah, I got a couple more. Should I keep going?
Yeah, man.
And if you want to say anything on them, just say it, bro.
It's interesting, you know, because I've had, two of their life came to an end, so I can say two of my grandparents, they lived 90 and 92, so, and one of them was smoking like a lot. So really, what makes that life? I don't know. I'm guessing maybe it's also is what you eat, but it's also what you consume, man.
Do you think it's worth?
So they won't smoke, you know.
They don't smoke. The power of the smoke.
Yeah,
one of them had the power of the smoke.
They were dishing out smoke. You are what you consume. They were on smoke.
Taking smoke, but giving smoke as well. Do you know what I mean?
I love that.
Smoky settings, big smoke.
I love that.
Smoky settings. I was gonna say, do you think it's worth living up to 90s? A lot
they
of
think
people-
it's worth.
Yeah, because a lot of people at the 90s, they
It depends. It depends on how you're feeling, you know.
Depends what you're doing in your life.
If you're feeling good at 90, then yeah. If you're not, then boy, put me out my misery.
Some people, just want to go, innit?
Was it of mice and men style?
Yeah, dead me, bruv.
Just blow me in the head.
But it's one of these things where it's like, it's what you consume, and then it's your self belief as well. Because they can be telling you all the negative stuff in the world. If you've got self belief and you don't care about that and you block it out, there's certain people who can do that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, you know, it's somebody spitting on them, and they're like, what's happening? Is it raining? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's one of these things. You know what I mean? So it's really, really interesting. It's really interesting, man. I've been seeing it in like documentaries, magazines, stuff like that, like reading about it. But it'd be interesting to go there and see it. You know what I mean? I think it's more than, because I grew up like in the city and stuff. So I've been like obviously in more rural places.
City boy, can you
City
do
boy.
that? City boy.
But
What's that one?
don't worry, we'll bring you
worry,
in
bro.
later.
I'm sorry.
Unless you want to Google it.
Do I have enough interest?
City boy.
City boy, city boy.
We love it. We love it.
We love it. You have to watch the whole clip as well, how it came
I wanna
about.
be part of the joke as well, man. You're killing me.
Don't worry, bro. Soon.
Nah, you're left out, bruv. I mean, you're right out. No, the left today.
That's fine.
Yeah, you're right out.
You're right out.
Right
fam.
out the door. But what was I gonna say? Yeah, it's rural places that you hear about this sort of stuff. You know, different life there, different life out there.
Makes sense.
Let's go to the next question, man. I can't wait.
Alright, cool. No, I've got a couple more last three facts here. And then there's one topic we didn't even get touched on. I'll be super
man.
quick. I'll be super quick. Wait. So Greece has more varieties of olives than any country in the world. It is the world's third leading producer of olives. I don't care if it's the third leading producer of olives. Yeah, that's not that interesting. But the fact they've got more varieties than any other country in the world is fascinating.
Mate, Greece has so much olive oil. For us, like obviously you have the goddess Athena, who has the olive branch.
Yeah, and Athens.
The
is
ones
named
that they
after
used,
her.
Athens. They used to in the Olympic Games. You didn't used to get a medal back then in the ancient times. You used to get the olive branch here, like in your head. It's so important, you know. And we have so much variety as well, because maybe we don't get the branding of the Mediterranean. It's been said that there's a lot of olive oil that you buy here is from other countries, but it's being passed from the other countries and rebranded to their countries because it doesn't sell if it's not.
Nah, that makes sense.
Italian.
That makes perfect sense. All right, this fact I found interesting, not because it's got sex involved, but apparently Greece is the mostly sexually active nation in the world, and the reason they know this is because it's according to condom maker companies. So condom maker companies are saying that Greece is the most sexually active nation in the world.
You reckon?
That's what they say, you know. It's a fact.
Yeah, apparently it's a fact.
I mean, think about it, man. Yeah. The sun, the sea,
wait,
good
no,
vibes, the olives.
Don't forget the olives.
Yeah. Wait,
the olive oil.
Olive oil.
Oh my God, it's starting to make perfect sense now.
Wait, I don't understand that.
Rub on some olive oil.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, makes sense. Anyway,
but what was I gonna say? Is it good? I mean, it's good as well that it's condom companies say it, so it means that we use condoms. But that shows about that there's not a lot of use nowadays because
you guys must have a
condoms.
great sexual education. And
I think there's none.
I think there's none. That's why. I think there's none in the UK.
Yeah.
The UK's got a pandemic of that. Right, this is the last one. I found it super funny.
Oh my God! The god of having a good time, no sexual, Dionysus.
Is that?
Yeah, man.
You know what? This might be related to the other one, to the most sexually active thing. Yeah. Actually, this makes perfect sense. I didn't even think about it. So this is a really interesting fact. I found it really funny. During summertime, there are more tourists in Greece than actual Greeks. During summertime.
That's lit.
And that might be why they're the most sexually active. So all these tourists go there and buy condoms, bro.
Yeah, what happens?
Yeah, man.
Greece, innit? One of those ones.
What happens in Greece protects your peace. If you know, you know. Anyway, let's keep it moving.
Talking about, I just want to touch on this subject because I was reading about it the other day, and it says, so when you ask a question, is erotisi, eroto, which is same to erotas, love.
Ooh.
So when you ask a question, when you have love, something is created, a kid. The same thing, when you ask a question, something is created.
Shit. That's
Boom.
interesting.
That into, I didn't want to be like but just because I read it the other day, and it makes sense, you know, it's the creation of something the same way.
No, that's interesting, man. Yeah.
Go on, you want to touch in the last subject that we talk about?
This last
And Aladdin is pushing us.
We ain't got much time. And I wish I touched on it before actually.
Time doesn't exist, man.
But obviously November is Men's Mental Health Month.
And today is Guy Fawkes Day.
What's that?
The guy who blew up the parliament. So what we say has to be mind blowing. Pause.
That's actually funny, man. I like that.
Get that in your skull.
So with the 10 minutes that we have here, I didn't want to just run through this, but I guess we're going to have to. So I've got some interesting facts as well on that. We can have a quick conversation and maybe and just see a perspective on men's mental health.
I need to stop playing with the microphone.
Yeah,
I feel like
I think it's alright as where it is at the moment. But so obviously males make up 49% of the population of the world, but almost 80% of all suicides. So out of the 100% of suicides in the whole world, 80% of those are men. And why do you think that is? I know it's a really tough question.
I mean, I don't want to go back to the archetypes of what a man and a woman would be, but it feels like it comes back to this when you want to answer the question, what a man is supposed to do, how he's supposed to behave. The fact that this is all over the world, which we want to say, you know, some countries have progressed more than others, but really and truly, the standards for all of the men that with the suicide, right? If it happens all over the world, you said, right? Obviously, we don't know percentages, but there's a similarity.
Yeah.
To what we all being.
Clearly, like regardless of the cultural differences, there's something there when it comes to being a man. That's something that needs to be addressed, and there's clearly something going on.
It needs to be addressed, I think, but it's weird because it's, you know, we are encouraged to open up, and we should, and I think it's happened more and more towards the times that we live in compared to even a few years ago. But at the same time, it's like sometimes we are asked to do and we have to perform tasks that should keep us strong in a way. So I think it's important for men to speak with other men who understand them, you know, and there's not gonna be a whole procedure of like explaining and over explaining, you know what I mean? I need to, there we go. So looking a little bit. I think it's there's all this thing where men need to speak to other men who understand them. No, not to understand them in general.
That's what I was gonna say, but that's the thing. So obviously one of the contributors to words that I think, and this way to say it, and it says that men are less likely to get help, and it says often because they're too afraid to speak up. And I feel like to some extent, and I was thinking what can change that to some extent. I understand that sometimes the environment isn't created for that to happen. But I also think as men, we need to start becoming more empowered to being brave of speaking up or having those conversations. And I think as individuals as well as men, even if the things against us, you know, in terms of like speaking up and all of that stuff, I think we need to still overcome that fear and just start doing so. Because I think that's how I feel like that's one of the ways of making it change. I'm not saying it's the only way. I'm saying it's one of the ways.
I feel like sometimes not even looking for help is a way of looking for help.
Yeah, I get that.
But
and it also comes back to the stigma of like if men do seek out help, that they're perceived as weak. You know, that's usually how.
But this is where this is what I'm saying. Like, there's all these double standards, and then you're asked to do a task which you have to show that you're something else. You know what I mean?
But it doesn't make people weird. Like, to me personally, my perspective on it is that actually being able to talk about it is actually a sign of strength, because I'm going back to the thing of being brave enough to do so. That's a sign of strength. It's like, if someone's brave, that means they're strong. So if anything, not doing so is a weakness rather than being able to, because it's that way around at the moment.
It comes back to education, doesn't it? So education, where it comes to a male, where does it come from? It comes from the father. So it depends what our fathers have learned from before and have taught us how we're going to use this to go forward. Nowadays, there's a lot of people that there's no father in the whole house, so there's no education like this, you know, to show you how to be a male, because you're being really and truly, you're being.
Well, you know what? I was thinking on the flip side, we have the internet, right? So. And going back to the role model thing, there's role models on the internet, and obviously some role models might be good, some might be bad, but there's role models on the internet. So I'm thinking one of the things, let's say in the past, if someone didn't have a father in the household, they weren't able to learn certain things, but now actually because of internet, they can have another role model.
But I think that's why someone like Andrew Tate is hated so much, because
you brought him up.
I'm sorry.
You should. Go on.
So like, I kind of align with some of the stuff that he says, right? I think he's one of those people that say like some valuable shit and then he just ruins it with some other dumb shit just so I can get the views and whatever. But when you say you can, essentially what you're trying to say, correct me if I'm wrong, is you can learn to be a man on the internet. But that's why they hate Andrew Tate, because those who are seeking knowledge in that area would go to the person that gets the most amount of views, right? And in this world, the most amount of views isn't someone that says the most valuable stuff, it's the person that says the most controversial stuff.
Yeah, because negativity sells, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I agree.
But it's again, it comes to what we were saying before. Why don't you think with your logic? Take what you want from the man. Don't take the rest. You know what I mean? Mute. Like, you go, Floyd Mayweather allegedly is beating his girlfriend, whatever. People look at him for boxing. They don't look at him of how to be a man. You know what I mean? Towards a woman, you take one thing that you want. You know what I mean? But again, the thing is, I think with a physical father and the digital father, you know,
I like that.
These clips and all these things can be manipulated. I want to say manipulated. I don't know why it sounds Greek, mad Greek. But it's. Your father is your father, bro. Like, you know what I mean? It's like somebody who's been through things. They say what they say to you. It's not been chopped up and put music behind and stuff like that. Do you know what I mean? To work with your emotions, because there's all these things.
But
and then
even then, it's like sometimes an Instagram reel can deliver more valuable information than a one-to-one conversation with a father. Because it goes full circle.
It can, but I think we are comparing to, a valuable conversation with a father, or even something that you might not think is valuable. Because I've been told things from my father that at that time I didn't think is valuable, and now it's coming back to me. Plus, you're getting somebody, their DNA is quite the same, so it comes from somebody who's probably thinks quite the same as you do now. You know what I mean? Maybe. I'm just saying, it doesn't mean that you're exactly the same, but you'll think like sometimes.
Well, like my dad probably thinks complete opposite of me, bro.
No, I'm not saying this, but it's because I went to this thing called Man Talk, not Man Talk here, but it was run by Terry Lewis and some other people, and it said usually sometimes
it was run by terrorists.
No, Terry Lewis, not terrorist, but. It feels like sometimes with people, the more they're trying to be less that like their fathers, they end up being more like their fathers. The more they're trying to run away.
The path you take to avoid your destiny ends up being the path that takes you to your destiny.
But yeah, speaking of the paths, I've got a final question for you, bro. Well, I've got two questions. I don't know. Is there anything you want to promote? I don't know if you want to promote anything.
If you want to promote anything, I think I've done it before.
Again, man.
Yeah.
There's no limitations.
I'm one of the co-founders of Together in the UK, which we share migrant stories. we don't particularly we show the what happens like the negative stuff, but we always have a light at the end of the tunnel, because if you know, so I think this is our sort of the take that we have. So we promote hope, or that's why you want to read the story. We relate, but it's nothing that comes out of it. You know what I mean?
Do you know what? I've got a new one for you. Yeah. You always turn on the lights at the end of the tunnel.
You can see the
stuff.
Exactly. It's like you can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but you have to go through the tunnel.
Sometimes
so
people
you have
say,
to tell
you know what? Some
negative
people
has
can't even see
happened.
the light. That's what I was thinking. Some people can't even see the light at the end of the tunnel. Sometimes some people need someone else to turn on the light at the end of the tunnel, and then they can go towards it. And I feel like what you're doing with that is like you turn on the light, which is even more powerful.
Exactly, man. To see your own shadow, you need light. You know what I mean? Yeah, so Together in the UK, so that's togetherintheuk.co.uk, and Together in the UK in all socials, or TGIUK. So make sure you check that. You know, we've got a lot of like awareness days, stuff like that's relatable, and we've got a lot of blogs in our website of stories of humans, or even advice, even on mental health, but it's always with a twist of migrants. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody who's come from outside to live here, or even like people who are from the UK talking about migrants, and there's an interesting conversation happening in between, you know, in between migrants and, I was going to say indigenous people, but you know what I mean, people who are from the UK, British people, English people, Scottish people, Welsh people, Irish people. I said everybody, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
You forgot Welsh.
I said Welsh.
You said Welsh? I was
Big up my Cymru people.
Yeah, you forgot to listen. But anyway, yeah. What's your? The last question is, what's your message to the world?
Is that everything you want to promote? Is there anything else you want to promote other than that?
Oh yeah, I go by Hands with Plans, so make sure you check. You just put Hands with Plans on Google, and something's gonna come up.
To this day,
Probably my
the
face.
Best, I think me and Leo would unanimously agree. Best Instagram handle today.
That's my Instagram handle.
Yeah,
Not everything. I think I use it for everything. You know what I mean? Yeah, man. It's handy.
No, this is the best handle, bro. That's because you got hands in it. Hands with plans.
Hands, man.
It's
And
handled.
sometimes I've got 4 hands.
His handle is handled.
By the way, have you checked the email for?
Yes, bro. I've done it, bro.
So
Read your WhatsApp. But anyway, on topic. Let's check out. The final message is, what's your message to the world?
No, man.
No, I don't care.
Say
No,
properly.
Aladdin, shut the fuck up.
Say
What's your message to the
properly,
world?
man.
Why is my message to the world? I think it's every time it's a different message, right? So I think this time I'd say try to think with your logic, not with your emotions. Your emotions are there for different things. You know? They're like feedback. I think, again, I'm not a psychologist, but you know, they are feedback, you know, and you've got all these veins that, all these things like inside you, these glands that have got all these chemicals and stuff like that that's making you feel a certain way at a certain time. You know, it doesn't mean that is you. Probably sometimes your emotions are stopping you from being your best self or your true character.
I like that, man. On that note, thanks for being here, man. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me again. Champ is back.
Till next time.
Yeah, man.